Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. As you can see, this time we're looking at a PC Engine Duo, and I apologise, I'm still getting over the man flu here, so my voice is going to be all over the place. It's a bit scratched up, this. It was like this though, obviously, before he sent me some pictures, so I can clean that up later, assuming we can get this working. So yeah, you can see it's basically a PC Engine with a Super CD-ROM 2 built in. So other than the scratches, it's in pretty good condition. It's arrived in one piece. The lid is not on. As you can see, I can lift it. There's no screws. It was taped just to hold it together, so I'm assuming the chap that sent it to me has still got the screws for it. It's for a friend of mine, this. It was something I wanted to look at, so yeah, I was keen to accommodate with this particular item. So if I switch it on, can you hear straight away? It's spinning, and it shouldn't be. There's a switch somewhere, I can't quite remember where it is now, but there's a switch on the board for the lid. But that's spinning, and look where the optical pickup unit is. It's on the outer track here, and it should be seeking back to the home position, track 0, you know, sector 0. So there's something strange going on with this right from the start here. This is not. Did you see the laser then switched off? Just watch. I'll see if I zoom in on that. You might even be able to see the laser scanning when it shouldn't be. Just watch when I switch it off. Do you see that? So the servos have been driven, the motor's been driven, it's like everything's going, including the carriage, with no, you know, you've not even pressed the start button, and the lid switch is not down. So straight away, my guess is we have a logic fault on the CD section here. This could be potentially a game over. Some of these chips are probably going to be available if we ever scan around, and oh my god, look at the caps on this. Yeah. So someone has swapped out the SMDs for through holes, which you can do, but the state, oh, just looking around, look at this here. The state of some of these, look at the board. What's happened there? It's obviously some corrosion, and the way they've dealt with it is with a load of solder and just strewn the solder all over the place. Hope it lands in the right spot. Yeah, some mucky connections and things down here as well. Can you see I've got some exposed copper? So might need to recap this. I don't know. I'm going to try and avoid that, if I'm completely honest. If the caps aren't part of the problem, I'll just leave the caps as they are, basically because I don't have a massive amount of time to recap this. I will consider recapping it. I'll perhaps talk to the chap who owns this and see whether he minds waiting a bit for it to be recapped, because that's the problem. To order a cap kit, it's going to take me a week or two to get the caps in, probably end up ordering from Console 5 or somewhere like that, just because it's easier rather than go through and measure up all the specific sizes and things I need here. So the region I think we've got a fault is going to be, I think that's probably going to be the DSP. That was the name I was looking for in that last video there, where I looked at the last CD-ROM for the PC Engine there. I couldn't remember what the little small chip was that processes the RF. I think it's a DSP. And then you've got a couple of other chips here, possibly that one as well. So one of these is going to be like an MCU, and I'm guessing that that's gone crazy, effectively. Something's happened to it. It could be the RAM, because I think there might be a RAM used by the CD logic here, so it could just be a RAM issue. But we've got to look at this from the point of view of the caps look questionable. It suffered some corrosion. We saw that repair over there a minute ago. There's a few spots just looking around now. I mean, I can see a little bit there, some exposed copper. I'll zoom in a little bit. Some exposed copper just there near my thumb. And there's a few mucky marks and things. So I think what I need to do is go around and inspect with a magnifying glass and just look for any questionable traces and vias next to each of where these caps have been replaced in the past. Because what might have happened is a little bit of a leaked electrolyte may not have been treated, and we may have a damaged via, and that could be why the logic is going absolutely crazy. It's missing a signal from somewhere, or a supply rail or something like that. So I'll show you a quick example. Can you see here we've got a via? I've just tried to clean it out. It's black. It's just absolutely black. There's corrosion in there on this quite large trace here. So there's a chance that, say, you know, that's not joined up on the other side where it should be. I'm fingers crossed, that's what this issue is going to be. It's going to be one of these vias that's corroded. So I think we'll start by just cleaning up with cotton swab wherever we've got a via like that actually. And I'm recording these just for my own benefit in case I forget where I've actually cleaned up, because what I will need to do is obviously test connectivity through to the other side, and potentially reflow these, or maybe even patch them up if there isn't a connection. You can still see that's very black. And there's the other side of that via, actually on the other side of the board. On this side of the board, if I just zoom out a little bit, you can see here we've got the main chipset here. So these are the 3 chips you get on a standard PC engine. Got some questionable solder up here, you can see that. I'll need to check that. You know, so you've got a HU6260, HU6270, so that's your video DAC, that's your GPU, and your HUC6280, which is your CPU, sound, and I/O. And then you've got your RAM here, 64K of VRAM, because that's next to the GPU there. That's your work RAM nearest the CPU, card slot, and some buffers and things here. Probably because this is going to, I think this is here is your system card 3. There's the additional RAM that's provided by system card 3. No idea what this is. This is going to be some drive glue logic, I think. And then a bit further up here, you can see we've got a BTL driver, BA6290A, another Sony RAM chip, and a DAC, just like on the CD-ROM there, the LC7881M, same as the standard CD-ROM. So yeah, just flipping this over. I mean, I've had a bit of an inspection round. There are lots of questionable points, lots of flux and stuff everywhere. So I will begin where we are at the moment, really, with that. I'll clean that up. I'll just test connectivity on my multimeter between both sides. But yeah, I don't hold high hopes for me being able to repair this at this current point in time, actually. I mean, you can see, this corrosion that's just not been dealt with. Can you see that there? It's a funny colour. For all we know, that trace there is completely corroded through. So I'm going to need to spend quite a bit of time, not just inspecting, but cleaning up some of the points. Look at this here. What's happened there? You see the pin on the right hand side of this little driver chip or whatever is here. It's shorted, possibly touching this pin here, and it's across the rail. That might be our issue. I don't know. We'll certainly lift that up and clean around there and inspect. So you can see where I put that patch wire on there just to get the thing up and running. So I mean, I can shorten that a bit in a minute. And there's some corrosion there on the other side, that I'll need to, you can see I've scratched it off here in advance. And what I'll probably do is try and just scratch the surface of that little bit and get some solder on there and, do the same on the other side, even though the wire is gone. Just to stop any further corrosion there. So you've probably seen this before, but it's worth covering it anyway. You can see I've just got some flux on there. We'll just get some solder, and we'll just try and tin these up. And then I'll go over with the desolder braid in a second, because in fact I might just leave it like that actually. If I can get a smooth surface on it. Not too bad. I'll inspect that, see what that looks like. But I could use the desolder braid to completely smooth that down. I might do that in a sec, I don't know. But all I'm interested in at the moment is just fixing up the couple of bits of corrosion I've got on there. Well, I've patched up that wire, so let's power it on. Now, the interesting thing is, just watch the laser switch it off. So you still get the same issue there, where it's got a bias or something applied to the focus coils there, but that might be normal. But the main thing is, see, it's not spinning. It's not doing that anymore. So if I switch it on, and we'll just, hopefully you can see this, press the switch, nothing, that's normal, and I'll hit run. Oh yes, that's normal behaviour. It's you can see it did a little wobble as it engaged the switch here to reach track 0, sector 0, home position, call it what you will, and it's bobbled up and down and it's looking for the disc. So let's power it off, we'll get the lid on, we'll put a disc in, and we'll just see if it works. So let's press run. As you can see, that's working alright. I think what we've got here though, we know is an audio problem. Well, we have an audio problem, so you can hear it. It's a bit distorted. Now I tried with the press disc, just an audio CD, and it's exactly the same. So I'm going to leave this to warm up for a few minutes just to make sure, try and rule out caps. It could well be because someone's messed around with a laser. Now I do know, like I said, the chap who sent this for me to look at, he's got another laser here. He may well have changed the laser voltage, you know, there. So the RF level might not be optimal. That might be the issue we're getting at the moment. He could have even played with the tracking and focus adjustments, I don't know. So at this stage, like I say, we'll give it some time to warm up just to rule caps out. So I've recommended a recap for this actually. I've ordered an SMD cap kit. I mean, look at the state of the solder around here. The solder needs fixing. There's a very little solder, you know, that's not a very good connection there on that little SMD cap. The legs and things on these are absolutely awful. I can't see very well here to point out, but like some of the wires, those look alright, I think. Got some more corrosion there. They don't look too bad. I'm trying to look through the viewfinder here because there's no other way to do this and show you at the same time. But I mean, look at the makes of these here. Shenzhen, is that? I think these are just like the cheapest Chinese make caps you can buy. Some Jamicons on here, which yeah, I mean I use them occasionally on some things, but I wouldn't use them all over the digital stuff on this, I don't think. You can get away with putting one on there, but I certainly, these are all just like the cheapest ones, more Shenzhen ones, whatever they are there. Look at the solder around here as well. We've got, I did have a quick look here a minute ago and I saw, I don't know if you can see it now, yeah, you can see some wires around here that are affected. And there's a little thin trace somewhere, there you go, can you see it? Get a bit closer, see this black trace here? So this has all been affected by the capacitor electrolyte as well. More wires that look questionable. Some of these look like they've not been replaced. These blue ones, they look factory, so those could be the reason we get the audio issue at the moment. It might not be any of the corrosion or the crappy electrolytics that are on there. It could just be the fact that a few of these have not been swapped out, and the ones that have, like I say, they've used the cheapest brand, and there's been no clean-up work really, and none really to speak of. I mean, look there, exposed copper and stuff. It's quite scary, really. And some of these are worse than others. I don't know, I can't tell through the viewfinder here. Yeah, that one's not too bad. It's about the only one on the board that looks half decent actually. So on the underside here, where the through-hole stuff have been done, I mean, you can see, you know, that one's clearly been replaced. That one's clearly been replaced because they're just awful. No one's cleaned any of the flux up. But one or two of them, like these here, that's factory. Those are factory solder points, those. And those are those blue ones, as I say. So somebody has done a half-arsed attempt at this and swapped some of the caps, but not all of them. You can see where I lifted up that pin there that was shorting over here. That won't have helped, but that wasn't causing the audio issue. But this whole area is just, it looks horrible. Can you see? It's just a brown, mucky mess. It seriously is. So the other thing I would point out here is near this driver chip here, these are electrolytics, I think. Pretty sure you got a positive designation. I mean, they could be tantalums or something, but I don't think so, not in that package. Those look like the kind of the style that you get on Game Gears and stuff. So those may need swapping out as well. I'm not sure if that's something that people typically replace on these. I think there's one there as well, a small one. Could be a diode though, I'm not sure. No, it's not. That's one as well. So there are a few of those around there that you know, could need swapping out. I think for the moment we'll assume they're alright. It looks like just flux. This is just flux on here. So for the moment we'll leave those. I might just check them on the meter. And there's that there that I showed you before. That's, in my mind, is corrosion. That looks like that's going to need scratching off and tinning up. And then some of the wires around here, again, look questionable. Some of them are alright. It's really hard to see through the viewfinder here on the, you know, the LCD screen. That looks a bit black there. So yeah, lots and lots of cleanup work on this. So you can see there where I started to scratch that, and just watch, it's coming off that easy, see it flaking off, because the corrosion has, has got onto that quite well actually. So I just need to do this with a magnifying glass really, just to make sure I'm getting as much off there as I can, and I'll do the same thing, get some flux on there, and just tin that trace up. There you go. So you can see I've just done that with a desolder braid, so I'll clean that up with some flux, but it looks as good as new, it's just silver. I'll do the same with the one on the other side, just remove the solder that I put on there so it's nice and flat like that. All we're doing is tinning it, giving it a protective surface really, with a very fine layer of solder. Yeah, and I could smell electrolyte when I was removing that cap actually. You can see, just about there, it's dirty, it's really dirty around there. So this would be easier to work on if I just removed all the caps actually, but I'm just going around this, like I said, just on these three at the moment. You can see I've just cleaned up around there, around that whole area quite nicely. But I'm just going to, like I said, just do these other two. I can't see if that's the right one. It is, yeah, 330. It's 330 microfarad caps. So just like I did on that last PC Engine CD repair video, we'll just get some of this mollycott stuff on there, on the rails, and on the gears. The gear here. We'll get some of it there, and then probably start it in audio, mode. Put an audio disc in, and then just seek from the beginning of the disc to the end of the disc. Sort of track 1, track 14, in order to get that grease there to distribute. So to assist testing without the lid, the easy way to do it is to remove this, so you can connect this little spindle counterpart on top of the CD there to hold it on. But I don't know, you can just about see there's a little clip there, and if you just pull that across gently, you see the whole thing twists, and then it just comes to pieces like this. So we've got this metallic or magnetic, I think it's magnetic piece here, to clip on here like that on top of the disc. Just so you can hear the audio problem, just listen to this. Do that again. Hear it reverberating. So yeah, there is an audio problem when the system's cold. So I don't know where Alan bought this, but I would steer clear of that person as a seller, whoever he got it from. So there's a few issues. We've still got the sound issue, and I think we can't really rule out the caps at this stage with regards to the sound issue. It probably is the caps, to be fair. I did replace a couple of the ones here that hadn't been swapped out previously. There's still one or two more on here that don't look like they've been swapped out by whoever did the recap here with the through holes as opposed to the SMDs. The other problem is we've got a problem where when it gets to, I mentioned earlier, when it gets to like track 12, 13, 14, you start to get jumps, the tracking becomes an issue. Now that could be that the tracking needs adjustment, but I doubt it. Could also be the tracking coils on the laser. Again, I doubt it, because it's alright on all of the inner tracks. And inspection of this gear here, you can see I greased it up with some mollycott, but inspection of the gear here, there was a few damaged teeth where the top of the teeth is like just chipped off a little bit, but the bottom's okay. Now Alan did explain to me that he managed to file one or two of those down to even it off, because there was bits of plastic stuck out, and it seems to work, but I'm not sure whether that's causing the issue with the tracking when you get beyond sort of track 11 or 12 on the test disc I'm using here. So the nice thing is he sent me this little box, and I thought this was just a replacement laser. I haven't opened it yet, but he says it's a whole carriage, so we should have the gear and the motor and the optical pickup unit as well. So I'm going to have a go and just swap over to whatever's in here, and we'll give that a try and see if that solves the tracking issue. Yeah, so I've unpackaged it there, and it is indeed a full assembly, gears and everything. So I'll swap this over. I do think it's going to be the gear. I think in every likeliness it's going to be the gear, because it's only at the upper tracks, and I think this is the point where the gear is now, where those teeth are. That's where the 3 or 4 worn teeth are. We can confirm that when I take it off. I'll clean off the grease and we'll have a look at it. and we'll just see at what point, you know, when you rotate it around, does this worm gear here interface with the 4 or 5 damaged teeth. And if I get close enough, you should be able to see the damage to those teeth. Just looking at the laser pot here, yeah, you can see that has been adjusted actually. So I'll just mute that. It's really distorted, but it's working fine now. There's no skipping at all on those upper tracks. And you can see it's pretty quick. If I go back down to track, say 10, just watch how fast it seeks to track 11. There we go, 11, straight on. 12, straight on. 13, straight on. Before there was a delay of maybe 2 seconds there, and it would play for maybe, you know, on this track here, it would play for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 seconds, and then jump 30 seconds ahead. And the same, if not worse, would happen when you went to track 14. You see that there? It's like instant seek track 14. Just watch the timer there counting up. By the time it got to about 7 or 8, it would then jump up to 30 or 40. You know, it'd skip ahead a number of seconds, and that's not happening. It's making a bit of a whine. I don't know if you can hear this. Just get near. Can you hear that? So I think that's the main spindle motor, you know, this. So we can get a bit of oil into there. That should hopefully wind that up. Alan can always keep this assembly here as a spare. I suspect, like I say, it's the gear. It's this gear that's the problem. But the other thing I'm going to do is adjust the laser voltage on this, because again, someone's messed around with that. I'll just switch that off. Yeah, on the replacement, someone's messed around with the pot. So I might need to swap this laser over onto the other carriage, because I'm not convinced it's a perfectly 100% laser unit that he's been sold. Actually, it may well be that someone's you know, sold the whole carriage, but it's the laser that's a bit weak on the unit. So I'll grease up these gears again. You can see the ground wire has detached from there, and it looks like someone's taped that on in the past. So we'll solder that back onto there. And then we're just waiting for the capacitors next, and then I think this should be all done. So on Super Macro here, you might just be able to see, can you see the gears here? The very tips of them are just a bit worn down. You know, you get it in varying light, you can see little bits of plastic, you know, just sort of interfering with the little channels there. It's very hard to film this because they're so small. But yeah, hopefully you can see, you know, those teeth there are the issue. That's why when you get to track 10, 11, 12, etc. onwards, it starts to skip. It's, you know, the track alignment is ever so slightly off there, which means that as it's, you know, it's adjusting to try and keep up with the tracking, it's not linear. Where you know, it's not got the same sort of linearity or regularity that it would have if all the teeth were the same size. So the current state of play is, you know, obviously it's a bit dirty. I'm waiting for the cap kit. I've ordered an SMD cap kit. We'll do a full recap of this. But as you can see, you know, we've fixed a few initial faults there. We've stopped it skipping on the upper tracks there. The drive's a little bit noisy. That could be that the coils need an adjustment, you know, the tracking and focus. It could also be that noise could be coming from the actual spindle motor. So, but I could always take the one off the other carriage to try and solve that. And I think I might do that, because it'd be nice to hand it back to Alan in a perfect sort of condition. But, you know, so we'll clean it up, we'll sort that noise out, recap it in the next video. I'll get the scope on there. We'll have a look at the RF level, because I'm always curious. I'm always interested to do that and share that, just because there are no real service manuals for a lot of these things, and it's useful, even just for my own benefit, that I can at a future date look back at some of these videos and go, you know, what should the RF level be on this particular unit if I ever swap a laser out or get one with a laser fault. So we'll do that as well. And if the noise is coming from the tracking and focus coils, you know, that whining noise, which it could be coming from the coils, might need to adjust the tracking or focus adjustments there as well, so we can perhaps have a look at those. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please, you know, like, dislike, comment, subscribe, etc. And if you can, please support via Patreon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.